Have you ever thought, why do I suck at fantasy football? Welcome. This is the Commissioner Fantasy Football Podcast.
Welcome to week 7 with the Commissioner and your co-host, Matt Vitale. Hello.
Hello. La,
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 la. Hey, week
Week
7's here, buddy.
7. Week 7. So I hear a few teams aren't playing this week.
Yeah, typical. It's been 4. So, another 4 this week.
Another 4.
Hey,
Who are there?
Can I do a little bragging here?
Sure.
I feel like I have to set a precedent for when I do something correctly or when I suggest things.
Are we talking about Kirk here?
Yeah, Kirk and just
So-
that game, that Dallas game, right? I know it sucked for
Why do
you.
you have to bring me back to these types of memories?
Look, because of me. Okay. For the first time, I had the whatever you want to call it, apocalyptic bye week for me, which all my wide receivers, pretty much all my best running backs and best wide receivers, decided to be all on bye, and I'm okay with that. So I started this lineup. I picked up Christian Kirk.
Okay.
This
go
is
on.
my bragging because last week I went to our take on this game,
Mhm.
and we talked about Arizona versus Dallas. And I
Correct.
said it, and I told you I'm starting Christian Kirk, and I'm like 99% sure
Mhm.
he's going to do well because he's a boom or bust.
Correct.
And I knew that they were going to try to deep.
But they're
Okay.
But they're playing Dallas, and Dallas sucks.
Yes, and that's a layer on top of the layer, right? They're playing
Mhm.
Dallas, and so I knew I needed to start Christian Kirk. I picked him up. I started him. He went off. Okay, but what I
Yeah,
want
he
to
did.
say with this is that Arizona prediction, right?
Mhm.
I said, look, they're playing Dallas. Whoever you have in Arizona, Murray, of course, you start. Hopkins, you start. Okay, Christian Kirk would be a good start, but I suggested starting Edmonds and Drake.
Correct.
Why? Because it's Dallas. Like, you cannot justify sitting any of those players against these matchups sometimes. It's just, it doesn't work, especially when Arizona wants to prove something. And so we talked about something else with you that I really want to kind of go back to about, you asked me about Fitzpatrick versus Watson last week, right?
Correct.
And you were thinking about starting Fitzpatrick.
Well, it was 60-40. Fitzpatrick had a good matchup. He's playing
Yeah.
a really shitty team. He's playing the Jets. Jets suck. So I'm going, okay, should I try to do the smart thing? But my gut's going like, look, no Watson. It's going against Green Bay. They have a pretty decent secondary.
Not Green Bay. Green Bay's
No.
this week.
Sorry. Who are they playing?
They were playing Tennessee.
Yeah, the Titans. The Titans had a great
Right.
game.
Am I
against the
right?
Bills.
'Cause-
I don't remember. It's all a fog. Yeah, I think it was the Titans.
Yeah.
Because
They won. They came back and Derrick Henry went off.
Who
Yeah.
beat your Green Bay Packers this week?
The Bucks, the poor Bucks. Remember even that game I say, hey,
Yeah.
that game will be disappointing for fantasy people.
Well, I guess.
It's a trap game. Some games are like that.
Okay,
So-
so I'm thinking maybe I should start Fitzpatrick. He's got a great matchup, so I pick him up off the waivers. And then I'm telling you, and you're like, hey man, you got to stick to your guns. If they fail, they fail. And I'm like,
Well-
you know what? You're right. I'm gonna go with Watson, and it worked out. Unfortunately, I still lost because of Murray, but
Oh,
whatever.
but look, what I want to say.
Congratulations, PK.
So what I want to say for those who are listening, because you're going to come up to these situations, right? When you got a star player and you got
Mhm.
this backup that has a good matchup. Now, in case of Watson, for example, the only reason I wouldn't start Watson, let's say Fuller was out, right? He didn't have
Yeah.
his best weapon. Okay, at that point, I justify starting Fitzpatrick. But
Mhm.
for me, going back, if you're in a situation where you have your star player that you drafted in the first 5 rounds,
Yeah.
and you're toying or you're playing around with this waiver pickup that has a good matchup, and nothing's wrong with your star player, he just maybe has a tougher matchup.
Mhm.
Look, stick to the star player. Sometimes Fitzpatrick will have the better game, but what I told you is, and you won't feel bad for starting Watson if Fitzpatrick has a better game. But what
That's
happens is
true.
imagine if you started Fitzpatrick and you did go with that kind of
Well,
like,
if it was a much closer game, which Murray made it not. So I was up by 35 points, and my opponent had Murray and Cooper left. Cooper could give you a dud, you know. They got Dalton throwing, so and he was the only one to score a touchdown on Dallas, and I think Murray got like 35 points.
yeah, you got a bunch of
So yeah, that almost kind of fucked me.
So my whole
whatever.
take here is, please, if you're starting player, the person you drafted, a star. Start your stars. Don't be afraid to start them if maybe they have a tougher matchup than the shiny new toy that's on the side that's playing the Jets, right? So,
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're going to talk about the Jets game this week, but
yeah, we are. All right. So
okay. You want to get
just
to
wanted
it?
to. Yeah, let's go.
Speaking of bragging, I think we played in Dynasty this week.
Yeah, but
Oh, and I'm pretty sure you're projected like 40 points over me,
yeah,
right?
well, yeah.
And I'm sorry, who lost that game? Can you remind me? It's been about a day.
You know what? I do not feel bad about that game because
Uh-huh.
playing in the 8 leagues,
Yeah.
when you win 7 out of 8 and the only one I
Yeah.
lost in Dynasty, which
Yeah,
I'm
but
still
does
ahead
it-
of points.
Does everything else matter when you're playing your brother?
Nah, for me, it's a little different.
Okay. So I'm sorry. Just so our listeners can know who won the game.
You won the game.
Oh, that's right.
It's okay. Every time I play, I seem to lose.
Yeah,
So it's okay.
I'm 2-0 this season. 2-0.
I'll make the playoffs. You won't make the playoffs. That's the
Yes,
trading, right?
But I beat you. So
It's all right.
at least
You could
I
in
take what I can
December,
get.
January, you can live with that, right? The rest of the season.
Yeah, I could just anytime you talk shit about me and my team, I'm like, hey, I beat you twice. So there
Well,
you go.
we're gonna have other matchups, so don't
Yeah,
just
and
wait.
you're gonna lose those too, buddy.
Maybe as long as I win my other games, I'm okay with that.
All right. Let's
So
no
sorry,
Colts,
before we
no
begin,
Dolphins,
yeah.
no Vikings, no Ravens.
And the thing with the
Go on.
Dolphins, Fitzpatrick has been benched. Tua has 2 weeks to prepare. So
Yep. So for those Fitzpatrick lovers like me, say adieu.
goodbye. All right.
All right. Giants
game.
and Eagles. Ooh.
Thursday night game, right?
Mhm.
Miles Sanders is out. He's not going to play. He might be out 2 weeks. I have Miles Sanders. It hurts.
Mhm.
This is a decent matchup. It's not a good matchup, but again, Miles Sanders is Miles Sanders.
So Boston Scott.
Boston Scott is still I don't know. You could start him if you need to. Like I'll need to start him in a few leagues because I have another bunch of buys. People are buys. So Boston
Bye-bye.
Scott is startable, but I don't know. Like that's just on this one, you got to start Wentz. Wentz is getting a lot of fantasy points. It's
Wentz, I benched for the
Messy.
first couple of weeks. I have him in our dynasty league. I started him last week against you, and I believe in the first half he had maybe 6.
I was
4
happy.
points.
I think you almost had negative. He had like bottom. I don't
He
know
had
what he had, but I
negative
was
for
like,
a while, but I think by the halftime he had like 4 or 5.
yeah, and then it's just
And
like,
I think he ended with 32 points.
jeez, man. That just,
So Wentz in the last few weeks, he's definitely a second half quarterback. He's a fighter, no matter what they're down by. They almost came back and beat Baltimore.
he's right now. He's really good for fantasy. So,
Correct. So it's he's got the fighter mentality. He's fun to watch in the second half. So I'm starting Wentz. I also have a predicament. I have Jones, who I would like to not start, but unfortunately I have nobody better to go with. The only
It's
other
a 2
option
quarterback
I
league.
have-
Yeah,
correct.
it's a deep league. Yeah.
So I might have to start Jones. The only other guy is Foles, and I don't trust him against the Rams.
Yeah, that's a tough one. Foles, it's like a coin toss at this point, right?
Yeah, I don't know.
But for me, I would suggest is pay attention if Slayton is out. If Slayton is out, like Slayton's the only guy that's got a touchdown for the Giants, like a passing catching touchdown.
Don't get me wrong. Jones is a great quarterback. His team just really sucks.
Offensive line stinks. Look, but if Slayton starts, you might get that touchdown, right? You might get those rushing yards.
I mean, he might not give me 30 points, but I'm looking for 15, 20.
Yeah.
I'm lucky. All right.
So-
any other players?
Eagles, Travis Fulgham. Look, Ertz
Ooh.
is out. Ertz is gone. I don't know how long he's going to be gone, but he might be gone for a while. Also, Travis Fulgham is now a good start. But watch out this week because Dallas Goedert might
Mhm.
come off the IR. I read some reports today. Looks like they want him at least to try to play Thursday. So
And Deshaun
if-
Jackson's not coming back, right?
he might. There's still a slight I don't think he will, but there's a
Okay.
possibility because even last week was a possibility for him to play. Eagles
Right.
defense is a good start too. So go pay attention on your waiver wires if Goddard is out there. I have him on my IR in a couple of leagues. I've
What
been
about
waiting for
Devonta
him
Freeman?
for the Giants. So go with the Giants. I don't know. Everybody's an iffy start here. Honestly, even Devonta Freeman, they're all just.
I'm gonna
If
have
you
to start
really
him in
need
my
to
league.
start them. If you can avoid it, avoid it. Just
All right. Packers at Titans.
this should be a fun game.
Sorry, Texans.
Yeah,
I don't know why I said
Packers or
Titans.
Texans. It's all right.
Mhm.
So this should be a fun game because I feel like you can start pretty much everybody on every team. For the Packers, it's Rodgers. Aaron Jones is must start big time. I think he's gonna have a blow up game. Devonta Adams, you have to start, and then for them, it's you're gonna hit with somebody, right? With Tanyan with MVS, so St. Brown, Williams. St. Brown came back. He was targeted a few times by Aaron Rodgers. Look, one of these guys are gonna go off. The problem is who.
Yep. Week to week is different. So
exactly. With the Texans, Watson.
So maybe this is a great week to go to your local fortune teller, see what they say. Maybe they have
roll a
money back
dice,
guarantee.
roll some dices. Put names in the hat.
So as I learned last week, Watson is must start.
Yeah, again, he's just the guy you got to start him. He's especially when he's got his wide receivers. Like he's going to throw the ball. David Johnson's not a good running back. He's lost a step. He still gets volume, not a lot of volume, but he'll still get his points. He'll still get at the red zone touchdowns. Those red zone rushing yards. He'll get there.
I'm surprised he's not doing more pass catching.
Still, because the thing is with Watson, he's never been that guy. He's never been that Brady that dumps it off. So that's the only thing with Watson that everybody was afraid of. But still, it looks like David Johnson. Still, you got to start him. Fuller, even Cooks, Fells. You got to start the tight end. If Akins is out, if Akins is playing, Akins is a younger guy. So the tight end, there's two tight ends that they've been. Akins usually has been kind of like he takes away from Fells. So when Akins is out, Fells gets some targets because Watson loves throwing down in the middle of the field. So.
That is correct, sir.
All right.
Those are Lions at Falcons.
So Matthew Stafford, the guy that I love so much, has been a little disappointing for me this year. This is the game where hopefully he just goes off, right? All right. Matthew Stafford is the guy you got to start this week. If you can get your hands on Matthew Stafford, which I did the week before in a few leagues, I picked him up to because I have some buys. Like Lamar Jackson's a buy, and I have Lamar, and I'm starting Stafford.
Speaking, I'm gonna pause you right there, because you're doing something that a lot of people don't do, and that's looking 2 weeks ahead, right?
Yeah.
So you're looking at matchups 2 weeks ahead of who can be a good waiver pickup 2 weeks from now.
Yeah,
which a lot of people don't do. A lot of people spend money or spend whatever when they can get the guy for free. And I did the same thing with my defenses. Yeah, I picked up Miami only because they were playing the Jets.
Yep.
And then last week I picked up the Bills in our league because they're playing the Jets this week, and I picked up KC in our other league because they're playing the Jets next week. So, you
got to play smart.
Most people aren't going to go for these players while in this week. They'll pay money next week for them, but not this week. So you can kind of start doing the math a couple of weeks ahead, look at some matchups, see if there's a good pickup there for you.
The shit's chess, it ain't checkers.
On top of that, what you're saying right here is the teams that are on bye right now, the Colts, the Dolphins, the Vikings, and the Ravens, somebody's going to drop somebody, right? Somebody's going to drop a, J.K. Dobbins, for example, because Mark Ingram might be injured. Mm-hmm. Look for these players. Like maybe Vikings, I'm pretty sure nobody's going to drop Jefferson, but like these are the times, even Madison, right? You'll see Madison being dropped everywhere. I've seen him dropped already. People are asking, should I drop Madison? No. Like if you have room on your bench, keep him. And then that's the thing that I'm saying.
But why would you drop him?
Well, because he had a bad game without Cook. So people
So Elliott has a bad game, you drop him? I don't understand.
But this is not, Elliott's not Madison. But
Madison's a great running back.
Yes, recency bias is the biggest problem in fantasy football. That I get so many messages from people. Mm-hmm. Well, this guy did well. Should I start? Like Gronkowski did well. Should I start him? It's one game. Relax. It was not your typical game.
I mean, the argument for Gronk, I would say, is that Howard's gone.
And but Howard's been gone for 3-4 weeks.
So but last week they started using Gronk more. They definitely used him a lot more this week. So it could be a trend.
It could, but that's something to watch for. So that's something's like, be careful on the recency bias. And so, but planning ahead, especially for bye weeks. Like if you have a quarterback going in bye week, I have my Holmes going in bye week, I think in like 3 weeks or something. I don't remember. I forgot.
You should drop him.
But look, but I'm going to be looking 2 weeks ahead, right? Stashing a quarterback on the bench who has a really good matchup. Like in another league, Herbert, right? For the Chargers was off. He had a bye week.
Correct.
Sorry, he had a bye week. So what I did in one league, I streamed quarterbacks. I picked him up and put him on my bench. Look, I don't have to go to waiver pickup. It's a quarterback. People are like, oh, I'm on bye week. I don't know what to do. I have Herbert on my bench already. I'm ready. So
the shit's
be
chess,
smart,
it ain't
think
checkers.
ahead, look at your bye weeks because now is the time to look at the bye weeks coming up. They're coming up in the next 4 or 5 weeks.
That is correct. All right, so
Stafford.
You're done jacking off Stafford. That's good. Who else are we talking about?
Swift is a star. Now, look, Swift is the running back for Detroit. Again, it is recency bias, but he was drafted really high.
Mhm.
Look, he looks talented. Adrian Peterson's still there, so you could probably even start him in this game if you need to. But Swift is a must start now. Galladay, you got to start Galladay. Dude, I don't know if you watched that game. The catches he makes, it's just insane. He's one of my favorite players to watch. Now, Marvin Jones, I wouldn't suggest starting in regular leagues. If you need like a Christian Kirk, right? If you need a Christian Kirk, if you need somebody to go off, like you have a bunch of people on bye weeks like I did, you need that boom player. Marvin Jones is the guy to go get. He'll be on waivers. Go get him because in this matchup, he might just go off.
Speaking of which, I picked him up last week just for that reason.
Just because, again, it's a big play, right? He might still have a bad game, but still he can have that.
But
couple
you know,
of big
when
plays
it
and
comes
he's
to
done.
bye weeks, you kind of got to throw the dice in there as well and take what you can get.
Roll the right dice, right? The Christian Kirk dice, the Marvin Jones Jr.
Yeah.
dice this week. Those are the right. Yeah.
Okay.
Falcons. I think you could start everybody, right? If Matt Ryan's
Julio
playing, you got to
Jones
start
looked
him.
Yeah.
Look, Julio Jones makes the biggest difference. You could tell. He takes away more defensive players that at least Ryan has time to even scramble.
Yep.
So Ridley, Jones, Hurst, you got to start Hurst if you need a tight end.
But not
Even
Gage.
Gurley, Gage. See, I can't justify starting Gage.
Yeah, those two good games and then nothing.
Yeah, so
Nothing.
easy
All right.
start.
This game's pretty exciting. Browns at the Bengals.
When would you say this game is exciting? But you and I love looking at this game. Right? It's weird.
It's a good game. I don't know. I mean, the
agree.
Bengals have been pretty decent to watch, except with Burrow and his craziness. But this week they look pretty good. This last week, I mean, the Browns are always interesting to watch. The question is Mayfield.
Yeah,
in or out?
so he's probably in, but he's still dealing with that rib injury. So look, monitor that because if he's not fully healthy, I'm scared to start OBJ. I'm scared to start him. Hooper is another guy that's been getting more targets as a tight end because I don't know what happened to Landry. I'm not sure, but he's just fell off the planet. Like we said 3 weeks ago, nothing's changed. Hunt is a really good start in this game. I think he's going to get a lot of work. Maybe Mayfield doesn't want to throw a lot.
He's got to definitely make up for last week.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So he had a tough game. Browns
Also,
defense.
hold on, since we're on the subject, I had three starting running backs, and Godwin, my starting wide receiver, all get under 8 points.
Yeah, well, that's fantasy for you.
That's tough because all different teams, all different matchups, and
It just didn't work out. Like the Godwin, the only reason it didn't work out, they just went up big. Rodgers made a few mistakes, and what are you gonna do? Ronald Jones just kept running the ball.
yep. Rodgers
All right.
ruined it.
So Hunt,
Although, here's one of the reasons I beat you. So
yeah, because I had Rodgers. All right, so Browns defense could be a good start.
Mhm.
And look for the Bengals, Burrow. You could start Burrow. He's played against this team already. I think he's getting better. It looks like Adrian Green got involved. All those people making fun of him on Twitter.
96 yards, I believe. No touchdowns, but
Hey.
still good for fantasy.
So in this one, looks like Higgins still the main guy there, right? He's
Right.
getting targeted in the end zone. Him and Burrow had a college connection. So Higgins, I think, is a good start.
So sorry, going back to AJ Green. Now he had 11 targets, 8 receptions. Pretty good for any wide receiver. Any wide receiver on any team
Ooh,
getting 11
it's
targets to start, right?
amazing. Yes.
Is this a fluke for him because he wanted to prove a point and then he's going to stop playing, or because I don't think anybody really believed he couldn't play. I think what they were trying to figure out is why isn't
He wasn't
playing?
trying.
Correct. It's like, why isn't he playing?
Look, if
So-
you really need a desperate start, you could start Adrian Green, but I'm just avoiding him still because if it happens 2 weeks, I gotta trust him, right? So he needs to build up that trust again.
I think for my dynasty league where I have him, I don't have a choice.
No, because it's a deeper league. In deep leagues, he's a start. Yeah.
I don't think I have a choice this week. But
Yeah,
Boyd. What about Boyd?
Boyd, I don't know, like same thing.
Boyd.
I think you could start him, right? Because he'll get the targets, but AJ Green, I think he took away a lot of targets from Boyd, which sucked for a lot of Boyd owners.
Oh yeah, well Boyd was doing a lot better than he should have been because AJ Green was like,
So Joe Mixon, I was waiting for a report today. He has a foot injury. He was active for the game. He didn't play at the end of the game. Bernard started playing, but what the coach said, he could have played if he needed Mixon. So it looks like he probably will play, but just monitor his injury. If not, go get Bernard just in case if you're a Mixon owner. Bernard would be a great start because again, he's a pass catcher. He's been on that team for a while. He's trusted by the coaches. But hopefully Joe Mixon plays. It looks like he should play. And even the Bengals defense is a good start.
Possibly. Good start. All right. Anything else from that matchup?
No.
All right, let's move on. Steelers at Titans.
Another decent game, like, right? You're just looking at these
Steelers.
games.
Why is their defense so good?
I was looking at their defense because I own their defense in a few leagues, and I knew I was disappointed. When I look back at their scoring, it's never been like under 5. It's been like, you hit big time, and then you get like 8, 10, 9, 12. 10. And last week they got that touchdown, so it's 18. Yep. So, look, start their defense against the Titans. Again, I have Titans, Steelers defense. I'm looking for other streaming defense. There's a lot of streaming defenses this week, so.
Correct. I mean, and the Titans are good.
Yeah, they're not a bad team.
Purposes.
Yeah. Tannehill throws. He's very,
AJ Brown. Ooh, that guy. Watching that guy, I'm going like, ooh. Why isn't he on my team?
Yeah, I only have him in one league, and I'm like, he was injured in the beginning of the season. This sucked, but he's again, he's a DK Metcalf. He's super talented, big target. So Tannehill's a start for the Titans. Tannehill, Derrick Henry, you have to start. AJ Brown, Jonnu Smith has an injury, right? If he's not playing, you can even start their tight end, backup tight end. That's awesome. Target Frisker, Anthony Frisker. So you can start.
Frisker, he might frisk you, Frisker.
Right. For the Steelers, look, you can start Big Ben, Connor, Juju, and now Deontay Johnson might be back. And this is what I told you last week. Remember when everybody's like Claypool, even though Claypool got a rushing touchdown at the end.
Yeah.
But if it wasn't for that rushing touchdown, he would have had a bad game. But who caught the long ball? James Washington. As I said, they have deep threats, not just Claypool. So if Deontay Johnson's back, Claypool, I don't know if I could play him in Claypool at that point.
Could still be that deep threat as well.
Yeah, but now they have 3 deep threats. No, they're using him a lot because Deontay Johnson hasn't played. Before that, Deontay Johnson was used. He got the most targets out of anybody.
How long has Deontay been out?
He should be back this week. So kind of monitor that.
How long has he been out?
3 weeks.
3 weeks, okay.
He got injured in the game. He got out early. He didn't play. He didn't play next week. He came back, played a little bit, didn't play. So he's been inactive pretty much 3 games.
All right. So, Panthers at the Saints. Not too excited about this game, but let's go for it.
So Panthers, like Mike Davis, you got to start because he still gets those passes. They're gonna have to. They're probably gonna be behind.
When is McCaffrey coming back?
They say he could come back now, but I don't think they will. Not this week for sure. Next couple of weeks, probably.
When's their bye week?
I don't know. I think it's probably week 10, like everybody else further ahead. DJ Moore is a star. Robbie Anderson, you got to start. Bridgewater for me if you're need a quarterback and you're desperate, you couldn't get Matthew Stafford, Bridgewater. There's other options, but I'll try not to start Bridgewater because the Saints defense got healthier. So
Breeze, Breeze of the former past, is he gone? Is this new Breeze we're looking at, or is he
if Michael Thomas is back, Breeze can just blow up this week. I think it's just they're ready for this. Michael Thomas should be back. Kamara and Murray both for this game could be decent starts because they might go up and Murray might get second half targets and passes and rushing yards, and Murray's good. Cooks, the tight end, if he's healthy, he could be a decent start. And Saints defense might be a good start too in this one.
Could be. All right.
Last game.
Bills
part 1.
The Jets.
Look, if you want
anybody you're not starting on the Bills?
Look, if you need to start anybody from the Bills, go get your Zach Moss, go get your Singletary if he's out there. Even their tight end Knox, right? Beasley, go get Beasley. John Brown, if he's healthy. Look, everybody for me is a start against the Jets because it's like anybody can have a good game. So for the Jets, the only person you can start is Crowder in PPR leagues. He's the only one that's getting the targets. So that game is whatever. Crowder. Start your Bills defense, please.
Yeah, I picked them up last week.
They're all over the waiver wire.
Only for this reason. And
that's all they needed.
Yep. So, Josh Allen, you want to talk about him for a bit, or are you done?
Well, Josh Allen, look, I told you before, we talked about Josh Allen. He's trying to prove that he's a good passer. And look, their offensive line is not helping out the running backs. Also, Singletary is not looking that great as well. So they need some spark in their running game.
There were 2 pass catches he gave to Singletary for pretty, I don't know, one was like 7 yards, the other one was 15. I don't know why they don't do that more.
They're going to try. Look, but again, they need to get their running game going. If it's Zach Moss or Singletary, this is the game to get it going, to kind of get their motivation or confidence in their O-line and their running backs to say, hey, we can run the ball. And then when you start running the ball, you can have that balance. And they need to. They get a tougher schedule, the Bills, coming up.
They should literally play the way KC played against them. Was run the ball, and then those big throws.
Yeah. So we'll see. But
the Bills can be a really good team, but something's not working there.
If you look, every team that's really good, they have a good running game.
Yep. And I need Singletary to do better for me to stay in the league.
I know. But Zach Moss, I have a feeling that
Moss, they didn't use him much.
Yeah, but
he didn't look better either. So I don't know if it's their O-line or just bad blocking, bad formation, or just a combination of everything.
So remember when the Bills were on the list for Le'Veon Bell? This is the reason. They needed some kind of spark in their running game. And maybe you're right. Maybe it's the 2 running backs are just not doing that well as they should be. And the O-line's not helping. But hopefully, I have a feeling Zach Moss might break through this week.
It could also be play calling, because if you look at the way KC played against them, KC's not a very good run.
The reason KC ran the ball a lot is because the way
the weather,
the Bills,
first of all.
The way the Bills prepared for that game, they were playing. They had the corners behind. They don't want the deep throws that KC can give, and so they started running the ball and it worked.
I mean, they were afraid. They were afraid of Mahomes. They're like, okay, let's try to not have Mahomes do his thing, and then they just ran all over them.
Exactly.
And then Mahomes still did his thing.
But Mahomes had barely and hardly. He had 20 points for.
But look at the way KC defense played against the Bills. They were on that offensive line on top, expecting the run every time, hoping that Allen would throw, because the chances of him doing anything, mostly man coverage.
That defense prepared really well for that game. So,
all right, we're done.
Part 1's done. We'll do part 2, and then we'll be done. And good luck in week 7.
Dude, you better not be sleeping after that podcast. That was an amazing message. Thank you for listening, and please subscribe to the YouTube channel, The Commissioner. Also subscribe on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Any comments, questions, concerns, send them to the Instagram page, The Commissioner, your fantasy football guide.